Please help me in welcoming Mr. Frank Aigbogun, who will be moderating a fireside chat with the President and CEO of the Dangote Group, Mr. Aliko Dangote, who is ably represented by the Group Chief of Strategy, Mr. Aliyu Suleiman. Let's put our hands together for Mr. Aliyu Suleiman. He's a Group Chief Strategy Officer at Dangote Industries Limited, leading high-level strategic planning across the group, including refinery and petrochemicals operations, Dangote Industries. He's an INSEAD graduate, as well as many, many other wonderful accomplishments. So we welcome Mr. Aliyu Suleiman and look forward to a wonderful fireside chat.
Now, we know that the refinery has not only been completed, is now in operations. And I'd like to just ask a quick question, which I think is very important and may, find acceptance with you as well. And that is the question around when you make an investment decision and you even go to site, the journey doesn't seem quite straightforward as you begin to go on. Many things begin to happen. Where in other countries they get 1 or 2 approvals to do the thing, in Nigeria you probably need to get 20, 27 approvals. So I want to just ask Aliyu this question. How were those days as the refinery construction went on, and even when it completed? What were the uniquely Nigerian setbacks or delays or challenges faced to get the refinery on stream? Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Frank. First of all, let me start by extending Mr. Dangote's apologies for being unable to make it, to both yourself and to the audience. So for the next couple of minutes, I think I will temporarily be Mr. Dangote, and how I wish my bank account will also temporarily reflect that. To answer your questions, I mean, you are also a businessman, right? You know how difficult it is setting up a business, not just in Nigeria, but also in Africa. It has always been challenging. Starting from the cement business, for example, across Africa, when we were rolling out, we faced various challenges. There was a country where we were held up in court for 2 years. All work was stopped. There was a country where trucks were delivered to the port, and the keys suddenly went missing, and the trucks could not be removed from the port. There was a place where our CEO was assassinated. So generally, doing business in Africa is unfortunately challenging. With the refinery, any project of this size globally is challenging because it is in a class that you call a mega project. And if you look at all mega projects across the world, one thing that is 100% certain is that they will not come in on time and they will not come in on budget. I think on our own side, to be honest, we were lucky that largely it sort of came in on budget, but of course not within time. So inherently the project is challenging, and then you put that project in Nigeria where the infrastructure is not there, the skills were not there, and that multiplies the challenge. We've all heard stories about the complexity and the size. For example, having to pump 65 million cubic meters of sand, having to build and install 250,000 piles to stabilize the land. Typically, when you have any process that is clear, any business that is clear, you know what to do. You document, you say these are the processes, this is what we follow. But when you have things that are uncertain of this nature, what you need is the right team, because you don't know what will hit you. So you need to have a team that will be able to handle solutions as they come. And then you also need to have leadership, and that's what Mr. Dangote demonstrated. I remember one Salah, I called him to wish him happy Salah, and he told me he was already at the refinery. He did his Eid prayer on the way to the refinery. He stopped at one mosque, did his Eid, and continued. So essentially, that's what it took to be able to handle this challenge. The leadership and drive of somebody like Alhaji, and then having the team that will be able to address challenges as they come. And there were many, many challenges.
Thank you very much. Now, I think I want to go a bit deeper with a follow-up question. In January of 2019, just before COVID broke out, I was in a room, a hotel room, with the former Vice President of Nigeria, Professor Shibanjo, Aliko Dangote, and a number of other people, including Tola's predecessor, Kunle Elebute. And we were just talking about the issue of project implementation in Nigeria. And Aliko suggested a critical role for government. In fact, his view was that once an investor makes an announcement of the intention to invest, government should set up a team to handhold him, work with that particular investor from when that announcement is made and when the investment is fully realized and the construction is completed. How do you think government can do this for investors in Nigeria to ensure that announcements are not just made, but that we actually see the materialization of that investment?
Thank you. I think that's a good point. I don't usually like using Singapore as an example because they're a special country, but I will still use them here. In places like Singapore, they have what's almost like a relationship manager that is attached to businesses that are coming in. And this is somebody that is quite senior and has clout to be able to make things. So when a company decides to come in and invest, that person is appointed and he is responsible to work across all the business departments to be sure that they are ready and they provide all the support that is required. If we look again at this project and the business, we needed a number of government agencies or services to be in step. We had to bring in a large amount of equipment, some of size and weight that have not been handled before in our ports, right? So if you have something like this, then it will be possible to sit down with the likes of MPA and say, this is what is coming. How do we build and be ready for it? Even during operation, I think that as we scale, we've seen sometimes a lag between our demand on port handling facilities like tugboats and the rest, and their ability. But of course, they always try to catch up, but there is sometimes some lag. And this kind of interface will have helped to streamline planning and to make it happen. Is also, aside from the government, sometimes when you look at sectors where you invest in a value chain, especially gas, right? If you were to look at the power sector, you have a value chain where various people have to coordinate their investment at the same time, otherwise it will be inefficient. In such cases as well, having this kind of relationship manager that will coordinate across all the value chain, not just within government, but also within businesses, will be quite valuable.
Thank you very much. I'd ask perhaps one of my concluding questions. The truth is, you need big investors to make the impact that Nigeria deserves. You need a big investor in power. You need a big investor in agriculture. I'm aware, for instance, in Turkey, one company alone generates 15,000 megawatts of power that goes into the grid. We have investors in Nigeria, and we need to get them to be as big as the Dangote Group is. But let me ask this question. He's conquered cement. He's conquered petroleum refining. What next for Dangote Industries?
Well, I don't know about conquering. That wasn't the intention. What Aliyu always does is he looks at areas that are impactful, that are large scale, and that are difficult. So that will require somebody with his energy and drive and resources to be able to deliver. As a group, we are looking at our growth is going to come from 3 sectors. Foods and agriculture, that's the first one. Cement and building materials, which is our bread and butter, and then oil and gas. In the foods and agriculture, we are also driving local production. One advantage of the reforms that are coming, like the FX reforms, is that it now makes local production cheaper versus imports. When we started our sugar backward integration, we struggled with the economics because you can always get sugar from Brazil cheaper than producing it in Nigeria. But with the devaluation, now sugar produced locally is actually cheaper than sugar that is imported. So in the area of agriculture, we have projects that will still continue. So backward integration in sugar, rice mills, tomato, and so on, whatever is viable. Cement is a mature business, but we still continue to look for growth opportunities. As you know, in Nigeria, we are building a new plant at Itori that is targeted mainly at exports. A couple of years ago, our plant in Cameroon used to import 3 to 4 ships of clinker. But today, we supply all the clinker Cameroon needs, either from Nigeria or from Congo, within the group. We are supplying our plants in Ghana, in Côte d'Ivoire with clinker from Nigeria. And we now want to go beyond and begin to supply third parties that import clinker from other parts of the world to get that supply from Nigeria. In the area of oil and gas, which of course will be the largest and is an area of focus, we will expand the refinery as the economics dictates, and also continue to invest in petrochemicals. And then largely there's a plan to more than double the fertilizer production capacity. And to also invest in other areas of fertilizer so that all the fertilizer needs of Nigeria and other African countries can be met by the group.
Thank you very much, Ali. We won't have time to take questions from the audience, but I probably should end this conversation by asking you if there's any other thing that you think would be helpful in just providing context around the success of the refinery in such a short time, and the global refining situation and the leading role that the Dangote refinery is already beginning to take.
So the Dangote refinery is changing the global flow of petroleum products. If you just consider the fact that, for example, we take about 15 cargoes, which by next year will become 20 of petroleum, of crude oil every month. Historically, those cargoes will have left Nigeria, right? And then they'll go somewhere else, they'll be processed, and then they'll come back. But now those cargoes go from terminals in Nigeria to a refinery in Nigeria. So that is changing the flows of both crude oil and petroleum products and is disrupting the market. The competition of having this alternative supply also means that suppliers from abroad have to lower their margins. Margins or prices of petroleum products have come down by at least $50 per ton since the refinery started. And all that benefit has gone to consumers. Share has been taken by the refinery from refineries across the world, from shipping lines across the world, and a lot of that value is now accruing to Nigeria and Nigerians.
Thank you very much. I am sure that Aliyu has been able to stand in the place of Aliko Dangote, except that I'm not sure about his wish of swapping bank account with him. But please, a round of applause for my guest. And thank you very much.